Welcome all Thursday Clubbers to Thursday Club Online. Because of the situation at the moment, unfortunately, we can't hold Thursday Club at church. But we're going to give you some messages that are Thursday Club style, and we hope that you'll get a lot of benefit and blessing from them at this time. We're going to be thinking about Mark's Gospel. Do you remember Mark's Gospel? Maybe you've got your own Mark's Gospel somewhere at home. If not, you can get it on some sort of device or phone, or maybe your parents have it and you can look it up too. So we're going to be going through Mark's Gospel in Thursday Club style messages, and we hope you find it a real blessing. The beginning of the Gospel of Jesus Christ, the Son of God. That's how Mark's Gospel begins. Mark chapter 1 verse 1, and that's our memory verse for this first session of Thursday Club Online. The beginning of the Gospel of Jesus Christ, the Son of God. What does the word gospel mean? It means good news. We all like getting good news, don't we? You get some good news. Your auntie has had a baby, or your friend has got a brilliant exam result, or maybe you've just heard you're going on holiday to Disneyland in the summer. Brilliant news. When you get good news, it just feels so great, doesn't it? Your spirit is really light and your heart begins to sing and you think, hey, this is great, life is good. We all love to receive good news. But you know, there's one context in which good news is even better than usual. Good news is always great. We always like receiving good news. But there's one time when good news is really, really happy. And that's after you've heard some bad news. Now we all know what bad news is. Bad news is when you hear something that makes you sad or upset. Bad news is when you hear that your uncle is sick. Bad news is when you hear that your friend has had an accident. Bad news is when you hear that the world is in trouble, that there's a virus and people are getting it and people are dying, and it's really bad news. And when we hear bad news, it makes us really, really sad. But you know, after you've heard the bad news, when good news comes, it's all the happier, isn't it? Imagine if you did hear that your uncle had cancer, and then a few months later you heard he's got the all clear. The chemotherapy has worked, the operations have worked, the radiotherapy has worked, and now he's better. That's really good news, isn't it? You'd probably have a party. You'd probably celebrate, send cards to one another, maybe do something really special because that's really good news. Imagine you got that bad news. Your friend had had an accident, broken his leg, broken his arm, injured himself on the side. He got rushed to hospital in the ambulance, and the people in the ambulance did a great job, and the people in the hospital did a really good job, and your friend got better again. That would be just such wonderful news, wouldn't it? From being in bed with a broken arm and a broken leg and a wounded side, to being up and about and fit and healthy and strong again. Wouldn't that just be wonderful news? Can you imagine how happy we all will be if and when we hear the good news? The coronavirus is over. The people who had it, most of them have got better. Many people had it and didn't get any symptoms. Others seem fine, they never had it at all. And the government give the announcement, the crisis is over. How happy we all would be then, because when you've had bad news and then good news comes, that just makes you feel so joyful, doesn't it? It's wonderful. Well, what did Jesus mean when he said, I have come to bring you good news? What is the good news of the gospel of Jesus Christ, the Son of God, that Mark chapter 1 speaks about? What is this gospel, the beginning of good news? What is the good news? Well, the good news of the Bible, the good news of Jesus Christ, comes on the back of some really bad news. And the really bad news is this: we're all sinners. We have all broken God's laws. We've all done things that we shouldn't have done. And we have all been unkind. We've all been selfish. And we've all been proud. And we've all, at least sometimes, not done what our parents have told us to do. And we've all, at least sometimes, told a lie. And we've all, sadly far too often, failed to honour God and love God and serve God and worship God with all our heart. That's the problem we have. And it's a problem inside here. It's not a physical problem. It's a problem of the heart. And it's really bad news. And God tells us in the Bible that because of sin, our sin and other people's sin, all the troubles in the world have come. And all the problems we have around us have come. And the world isn't a perfect place anymore. And people don't live perfectly happy lives anymore. That's bad news, isn't it? And we think about all the kind of bad things that happen, whether it's cancer or it's accidents or it's viruses. And they're all bad news. And it's all because sin has come into the world. And we've all rebelled against God. Bad news, isn't it? But then Jesus comes and says, I've got some good news. I've got some really good news. I'm going to give it a special word, a special name. It's gospel. And this gospel is the good news that Jesus Christ has defeated sin. Jesus Christ has overcome sin. Jesus Christ has conquered sin. Jesus Christ has fought off sin, not with physical fists, but with spiritual fists. And he's battled against sin and he's defeated it. How has he done that? Well, that's what we're going to be studying when we look at Mark's Gospel. That's what we're going to be thinking about as we study Mark's Gospel through these Thursday Club online messages that we hope you'll tune into and enjoy. But I can tell you this, just by way of a little taster. The great news about Jesus is that he never sinned. Wow. Wow. Here is a human being who never sinned. He never did anything wrong. He always honoured his parents. He was always kind to his brothers. He was always truthful. He always did what was right. He always obeyed the authorities. He never coveted what he didn't have. He was always generous. He was always loving. He always worshipped God. He always kept the Lord's Day. And he always did everything perfectly. What a person. You see, Jesus Christ, he never sinned. And when he died on that cross, he didn't suffer for his own sins. He suffered for the sins of everyone who would trust in him. And that's why the message of Jesus Christ is good news. The best news you could ever hear. And we want you to learn about that. So let's get our Mark's Gospels. Picking it up off the floor. Let's get our Mark's Gospels. Look, there it is highlighted in Isaac's version. That's my son Isaac. And here it is. The beginning of the Gospel of Jesus Christ, the Son of God. I wonder if you could ask your parents to help you learn that and get ready for Thursday Club Online Session 2 coming soon. And we'll see how you've got on with that verse. The Lord bless you. And very soon we hope that Thursday Club Online will become Thursday Club in our building again, when we can all gather and carry on with Genesis. That's what we're studying, isn't it, at the moment in Thursday Club in the church building, when we're allowed to go back. So, bye for now and see you soon.